Did trickle-down ever work?
Well, I think it's an unfortunate metaphor because it has more of a untoward kind of implication than really exists. I think the idea that if you can mobilize a lot of entrepreneurial energy, if you can mobilize constructive risk-taking and investment and technology creation and new enterprise formation, all of those will redound to the benefit of the economy, and to the extent that we have a growing and dynamic economy, everybody will benefit. Now, that doesn't mean it's the only thing you should do, or that you should sacrifice everything else in order to encourage entrepreneurs and technological progress. So, in and of itself, trickle-down can't be the governing philosophy.
But it's being trotted out today to, because people say, well, you can't raise taxes on the job creators.
Well, look, everybody, as I think Oliver Wendell Holmes said, taxes are the price we pay for civilization. Okay, it's not a question of taxes or no taxes on job creators or anyone else. It's a question of what are the least harmful ways to raise the revenue that we need to pay our bills once a democratic consensus has agreed on what government is doing. And therefore, the wealthy have to pay their share or more of the taxes. And if that does, on the margin, discourage someone, it's unavoidable. I mean, taxes will have a negative effect to some degree, but again, they're the price of civilization. How could anyone believe you can fund the government on bonds alone, borrow your way to eternity? It's not possible. So if you think about it, then this current Republican campaign that you don't dare to raise taxes on the job creator, it's just political rhetoric. In 1982, even Ronald Reagan saw that we needed to raise taxes when the deficit exploded and the original tax cut in '81 was too big. So he raised taxes in 1982 by the equivalent of $150 billion a year in today's economy. He signed the bill. At that point, there was 10% unemployment. The economy was just on the very edge of coming out of a very bad recession. We didn't say at the White House, we can't do this because it's going to impact some job creator. We said we have to do it because on balance it's going to hurt the economy to continue to borrow at these rates. It's not responsible, it's not sustainable, and so therefore there's a trade-off, but it's one that you have to accept. Now, Ronald Reagan said this in 1982, and then again in '83, and then again in 1984. And where the Republicans come off today, sort of reinventing a kind of revisionist history of the 1980s is beyond me. What they're saying today is foolish, it's irresponsible. How can anyone believe with the kind of deficit that we have, $1 trillion year after year after year, that we can keep taxes as low as they are? It would be nice if we could, but they haven't been willing to cut spending.
Yeah, I think people today would be shocked to know that when you and I were young men in Washington, that the richest Americans paid a marginal tax rate of 70%, right? And then it was cut to 50%?
Well, I think, the more interesting issue is that the capital gains tax today is 15%. Now, I say that is the problem. The differentially low rate. In other words, if you're a wage worker, if you're selling your labor, you're going to pay payroll tax, and on that, the full income tax rate, and even if you're right at the mean or median, you're going to pay 35% all in federal taxes. If you're speculating or investing millions or even billions of dollars and you are able to transform your income so it qualifies as a capital gain, you pay 15%. And that's part of the reason why our tax system has gotten so out of kilter. That's part of the reason why most of the gains from this bubble we've had in the last 2 or 3 decades have gone to the top. And it is the fundamental reason why the current tax code generates so little revenue and so much resentment on the part of the average taxpayer.
Then why do we have it? In a democratic society where we're supposed to be able politically to address the broad concerns of the great middle, the middle class, why do we have such a discriminatory tax system?
Because of crony capitalism. The crony capitalist ethos dominates both parties. I haven't seen Obama really attack the low rate on capital gains, which you would think a Democratic administration might do. He hasn't even been able to drive through eliminating the capital gains low rate, 15%, for the carried interest of a few thousand hedge fund managers and private equity fund operators. That is the worst abuse of all. A 15% rate, if you're running, you know, a multi-billion-dollar hedge fund and you're getting a 20% share of the carry. It's really pretty shameful, and yet the Congress, as it's constituted today, the White House, as even populist as it sounds, is unable to even get rid of that carried interest 15% rate for the top, it's not even 1%, this is the top 1/10 of 1%.